can you see this person's perspective,
Right.
but can you see beyond this barrier that is in front of you right now? And we do get to that place of gratitude and actually appreciation. Now, it takes us refusing to stay in a victim mindset in order to do that.
Welcome in, everybody. And it's time for launch date. I'm Devon O'Day, and Teri Pugh is here. She's in beautiful surroundings, but there she is.
Here I
There
am.
you are. I love that you're outside.
Thank you. I do too.
Oh, it's just beautiful. Okay, now, how's your eye doing?
Well, it's still angry.
Oh my goodness. You were outside mowing the grass. I always say, you never know that you need safety goggles to do things, because growing up, you never think about things like safety goggles when you're mowing the grass, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's just a, hazard of the job, maybe, so to speak, because cutting grass, and if there's dust and whatnot, it just got in the pore of my eyelash, and then it just got angry, and that's where it's been for 2 weeks now. So I am doing antibiotic ointments and antibiotic drops. Saw my doctor yesterday. It's just kind of a waited out thing. Hot compress. I've had people say blow smoke in my eye. I've had people say put a gold ring on it. I've had all kinds of things, and I've tried a few of them, but I'm still in this space. So it'll be gone when it's gone. Louise Hay says, and everybody that knows me knows that I follow and love Louise Hay's take on things, how things show up in our lives, symptoms, physiological symptoms and whatnot. And Louise Hay says that when you have eye issues, specifically styes, it's because there's been distress in your life and you are having a hard time seeing what is happening. So I would say that I agree with that to some degree.
Isn't that something? Wow.
Yeah,
it's so funny that I would choose today is, can we choose not to stress? Stress is what it's killing everybody. It is the bullet in the gun of our lives. And I wanted to talk today about, do we choose stress because have we been taught it? Did we learn it from somebody in our lives that taught us that stress was the way to handle a situation that was hard? And if we were taught it, can we choose to do something differently?
Yes and yes. Yes and yes. How many times or how many people that are listening today have heard, well, I'm just an anxious person. My mother was an anxious person. That's just who we are. Or, oh, I'm just a worrier. My mother was a worrier. That's just who we are. Oh, I'm just, and it's not who you are. It's what you've been taught.
It's true. So, stress. And I have someone very close to me that uses that kind of terminology and talk about getting steps, quarantined for COVID in a hotel room, and literally walked holes in the carpet, practically just getting 10,000 steps, just pacing with worry and stress and whatever, and choosing stress over, and I know that I have the ability to do that. I have because mine goes to the place of I shut down and I have the panic attack. So mine just goes, it's like, there's no pacing. There's no thing like if I lose something or if I get lost, that's when I just, I kind of lose my mind just a little bit. And so anyway, got lots of folks joining us. We're going to unpack the stress suitcase today. Candy is with us. Hi, Candy. Candy, thank you so much for sharing us on social media. That was so nice of you. Angie is with us.
Hi, Angie.
Elizabeth, and bless Elizabeth. She's been working overtime, and she's going to be with us during real time. Teri, how's your eye? Yeah,
it's still here.
Still got one. Yeah. It is not a happy eye. You just never know.
It's just not, she's just not happy right now. But you know what? As with all things, she will be happy again. So,
And oh, there's Jamie. And Jamie
hi, Jamie.
is new to leave us a comment, but she and her girlfriends watch every week, and she's with our company at Main Street Media. And, and so we're just glad to have Jamie watching. This is awesome. And Candy, wishing you better, Teri, sending hugs and healing energy your way.
Thank you. Receiving it and loving it. Thanks so much.
Elizabeth said, smudge that baby.
I'm telling you, right?
Oh, tell you who else has been getting through some healing stuff. Candy Seaton is back with us. Hey, Candy.
Hi, Candy.
She is fostering a beautiful dog, sweet baby, and but Candy had a fall that she's been sharing about. Just a trip and fall, and ended up with a concussion. And it's a stuff, things happen to us. Michelle, hi, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
And let's see. Oh, our Joyce, welcome. We just couldn't do anything without our beautiful Joyce. And Jerry is here. Oh my gosh. And Jerry says, love the background bird songs.
Thank you.
It is a gentle way to kind of have the show about stress. And that's the first thing to me as a physician, heal thyself, is when you're experiencing stress, go outside. Nature is the most amazing healer of stress.
It is. It is. And nature also, as our Candy Seaton knows, and maybe some other listeners know, that nature can also be a great cause of stress, because just a couple of years ago, Waverly went through all of the flood stuff. And so, but, in the arena of feeling overwhelmed, feeling stressed, and needing to decompress and ground yourself, I am a big fan of taking your shoes off and just walking through the grass or sitting and looking past the grass to the dirt. And you might just find that there are little flowers budding, there are little ants and bugs doing their thing and living their best life in that moment. And it puts into perspective from a 75,000 foot view that we are really all just sort of doing what we're doing and doing our thing. And it takes all of us to be in that. And so connecting with nature allows us, from a physiological standpoint, our serotonins, dopamines, oxytocins, nature's a feel good, for most people. Some people aren't a fan of nature, but for most people, nature is a natural remedy for feeling stressed or overwhelmed.
For those people who have severe allergies and things, this time of year might not be the time when you want to go outside, but you can do some things to help other than medication. You can also go on YouTube and literally have on a big screen television something that takes you outside. If that is, because sometimes, the allergies can cause even more stress. It's like, oh, I can't breathe if I'm there. So there's a workaround. Elizabeth, nature's so very healing. I go spend time in my Smoky Mountains when life is a bit overwhelming. It calms my soul.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Candy says, I'd say it's brave to walk barefoot on the grass when you have 3 dogs. Yes. But I love the analogy and I love nature.
It is brave to do that. And I do scoop poop before I do that. And there are the front yard is dog free, so I can always go there.
Yeah. And not necessarily walk. What I do is I stand. I just go out and get right in one spot, and then I just stand in that spot. I slip my shoes off and then just stand, and I have my moment grounding myself. And I do this year round. Snow, it's a little bit quicker. Stand.
Yeah.
Candy says, yes, it can be both good and bad, however you choose to see it. But for me, I love nature in all its beauty and destructiveness. I'm in awe of both.
Absolutely.
Reframing.
Absolutely. Well, when I was in Puerto Rico last year and Hurricane Fiona came through, and I had the privilege of meeting her and um, watching her in action, and I was amazed and you know heartbroken at the destruction, but also there is something very beautiful about nature. There's something beautiful about it. So,
Um, here's, if you're writing our stuff, we always call it writing it down. Write down nature, getting outside, clearing your head, taking a walk, or standing, feet grounding yourself again. It really works for anxiety. And then another thing that I do, I was stressing about my trip to Ireland, stressing, so much to do. So I just went and I started making my list. And every time I think of something I need to do, I just put it on the list. And it's crazy, when I've got it on the list, I'm marking stuff off like right and left. And so my stress that I'm going to forget something is not happening. I even now, I've got a packing list that is helping me. So when you write it down and you go, well, it's not that hard. You start looking at the elephant going, okay, which bite do I eat first? And I always say, take the list and get the things done on that list that you can mark off quickly. There's always those things, it's like, okay, organize my junk drawer might not be number one on that list, or, decluttering my entire house before I have to leave for a trip may not happen, but you can remember to go to the bank.
right.
You can buy dog food. Those things you can go, okay, what do I need? Here's how we do it. Here's how we approach it. Joyce has something to add. I need stress relief for sure. I had my cardiologist appointment yesterday, and he feels that things are going to be okay, but I have some tests to do for 28. And if they're good, he'll put me out. He'll put me out 6 minutes, but also told me to reduce stress. I don't know all of what that means, but going to the heart doctor, doctors will always tell you, okay, you've got to cut your stress levels. I remember going to a kinesiologist, chiropractor, who was dealing with a lot of issues. And Dr. Adair told me, he said, your job is killing you. I was in my 20s. And he said, your job is killing you. Is there any way you could do something else? And I said, no. He goes, well, I'm going to tell you, you're not sleeping. You have killed your adrenal glands. Just killed them. And you're going to have to cut back on caffeine. You're going to have to find a way to get rest. You're going to have to find a way to shut it down and talk about and do something else. Now, what about you? Have you ever had any time in your life where it was difficult for you to shut it down, whatever's causing stress?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think there's stressful stuff going on now in my life, and learning to be in the present moment, learning to do, when people are doing the things that work for them. Like I tell people, doing some breathing. I know it sounds woo-woo, but, putting your hand on your heart space, your heart chakra, putting the other hand on your solar plex, and breathing just a few breaths, bringing yourself back to present moment. A lot of times people say, well, God, present moment's the stressful place. Present moment actually transcends the stressful present moment, because present moment is, I'm in the chair and I feel the chair supporting the weight of my body. I'm standing on the grass and I feel the blades of grass the coolness of the blades of the grass between my toes. I'm standing in the yard and I hear the bird to the left and I hear the bird answering to the right, and I feel the breeze blowing across my face. That brings you all the way back into the element of your body. And that transcends that. The stress parts are in our brain, right? When we go present and we go all the way back in, Otis would agree with me that being present and going all the way back in is the best. It can be tricky because we can say, we confuse ourselves. Well, this is the present moment. And it's like, no. No, if you're thinking about something else, You're not in your body. You're not breathing in that present moment. Put your hand on your artery or your wrist and feel your pulse. That's a present moment. Put your hand on your chest and feel the gift of your lungs spontaneously. And if you have allergies, probably not effortlessly, but spontaneously breathing. That's a present moment. And we can easily be pulled out of that into, but there's all this other stuff. That stuff is going to be there. But if you allocate this moment, this is the moment for my mind and my body to be at peace, then nothing can take that from you. You might come out of that and 2 minutes later, you might be stressed again. That's the contrast of life, right?
Right.
If there's weight on one end, there's lightness on the other. If there's dark on one end, there's lightness on the other. That's the contrast. So knowing how to balance that, and knowing that when we are in those stressful moments, they're not the end all be alls. Things are gonna unfold unexpectedly in our life, and we're gonna be caught off guard. And there'll be whatever emotions come up for people. There'll be fear, there'll be anger, there'll be sadness, there'll be sorrow, there'll be all of these things.
Right.
Bring yourself back into the present moment. I told a client yesterday that was dealing with some anxiety and stuff, and they said, why it's always worse at night? And I said, well, most of our littles didn't really like the night because it could be dark and it could be scary. So things feel lighter and brighter during the day because the sun's out, the birds are chirping, things can feel a little more hopeful and hope-filled. And
Right.
then being present or being mindful that at night, maybe things get a little heavy for you. And so come up with patterns or rituals that benefit your highest and best. That might be the Amazon person at the door next door that's coming to murder me. I'm not sure. But don't worry. The dogs will not let him or her in to me. So we're good. Unless they have a treat, and then I'm screwed. But
Elizabeth says, your videos from your trip to Puerto Rico were awesome. Mother Nature is powerful.
Yes. Yeah.
Candy says, I have really bad allergies, allergic to everything, but I still love being out in it, stand barefoot in the grass, lift my face to the sun like a flower does, getting all the good vitamin Ds. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Jerry, I sit on my patio and watch and hear the birds, squirrels. Can't wait for my row of irises to bloom. Nature's the best medicine for me, but if I'm driving, I tend to look at cows, flowers, etc.
There you go.
And Jerry is, y'all send some healing prayers to her. She's fighting the cancer fight right now, and sending love out to her. And we're just sending her lots of love and light. And you got this, girl. We love you. Let's see. And she also, I'm handling my C treatments with little stress and just be in the moment. See, there you go. Being in the moment, Oh, I love this message. Candy, yes, I was so stressed at the job I was in for a long time. I learned to de-stress the hard way because I had to. We all know what the hard way is. It caused me to have a case of Bell's palsy too. Stress will cause all sorts of dis-ease in the body. Now I get in nature, meditate, do deep breathing exercise, EFT tapping, and even journaling. I've done it all. But you know what? You might have to do it all.
Well, and a lot of times you have to sample it. It's kind of like a sampler. You get to sample a little bit of everything. And if you like it and it feels good, go back and try it again. And what you will find is that there will be several modalities that you can choose from. You might not use them every time, all the time, but there will be several that you can choose from that feel good to you. And you might find that if you are feeling angry, there's another particular one that works for you better. If you're feeling sad, one of those modalities might feel like a better fit. It's not about always having to do the same thing all the time, because let's be real. Sometimes if you're sad or you're anxious, you don't feel like journaling. Like journaling might not be your cup of tea. But maybe doing some mindful breathing, or maybe going out and just listening to the birds, or just looking at the trees and the blooms, there are different things. The tapping is a big thing. I mean, there's so many options that a lot of times we lose sight of just how much is out there that can actually benefit and help. Reaching
The
out to a good friend.
and narrowing down what is a learned behavior. If it is a learned behavior, you can unlearn it. If you had a very stressful, overbearing parent who always worried about stuff, I always said the hand wringers. Oh, and everything that you do, you're going to die.
Hmm.
You know, I have that parent. Everything I want to do, I have to give directives and a will out before I leave with all the phone numbers of the people who will help pack up my house if something happens to me on my trip to Ireland, you know, because I have that person who worries all the time. Well, they say that it's very dangerous to fly these days. Well, they say, and I'm going, okay, you're right. And
Okay.
Candy Armstrong says, I have that parent too. They haven't impacted me so much. A lot of us have that. And that's the tape that's in our head. And do you know you can unlearn those tapes because you can go, what's the worst thing that can happen? Our worst thing, okay, we cease to exist here. Okay. If that's the way I go in my joy and in my peace, I love that. I love that. If that my I was told once, one day those horses are going to kill you and you're just going to die out in your pasture. Maybe, but I'd rather do that than in my chair.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not. Maybe I'll live to see another day. Maybe I will enjoy this and it'll be amazing. Elizabeth, I love this. My biggest stress reliever is the serenity prayer. When I'm stressed, I usually find it's over something I cannot control. Gotta let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we do have learned behaviors. The brain learns, the brain maps and fires together, and pathways are created, and to save a whole session on how the brain works. But it's the the visual that comes to me right now is like, think of if you have water that runs a certain way in your yard, and every time it rains hard, it runs a certain way in your yard, and over time it's going to burr out a creek or a path that it runs. And then naturally, anytime any water drops in the yard, it goes that path, not because it wants to. It's just the way it's been trained. And so our brain does the same thing. When we
Mhm.
have parents that are super positive all the time, there's such a thing as toxic positivity.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
there is negativity. There are the hand wringers. There are the worriers. There are
Mhm.
the people that are manipulative and passive aggressive, and there's all these melting pots of all these people. And when we are subject to the way that they show up, the way they parent, the way they partner, the way that they
Mhm.
befriend us, um, those pathways in our brain learn and go and form. And so um, it takes us mindfulness of changing that. Just changing, to say the gutter, but changing the gutter. If the water's running off the roof down through the gutter, and it hits the path, and it takes off down the path, and it's eroding the yard, shift the gutter.
Wow.
Just shift it, and you'll form a new path. The water's still going to come, but
Mhm.
you're going to handle it differently. You're going to redirect it. And we can choose to redirect in ways that lift us up. It doesn't
Mhm.
mean that we're void, or we're going to be scot free in any harm, any pain, anything in our life. It just means that when it happens, we're going to have a sense of direction that's going to help us navigate it. You're still going to have moments that you're going to be scared. You're still going to have moments
Mm.
you're going to be fearful. You're still going to have moments you're going to be angry. You're still going to have moments of deep sorrow. You're still going to have moments of feeling hopeless, helpless, and despair. But that bounce back time will be tremendously improved upon if you give yourself a blueprint of it doesn't have to rain so hard and go down that same pathway that's eroding the foundation of my home of my peace of mind.
Mhm.
Shift the damn gutter.
Man, that needs to be on a stone, not just a t-shirt. Shift the damn gutter. That's the deal. I love
Yeah.
that. I just love that. Jerry says, don't let their fears become yours. And yes, if I go from C, I know where I'm going and my spirit will be free. It's a place, it helps you fight the good fight to just live. And you know what? We fight for a lot of things in our life. I've had people who fight for the negative.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be right that it was something wrong. I mean, it's crazy that somebody would do that, but they do.
Right, right.
But
Well,
we
and
can fight for joy. How about
I,
that?
I will say this: I have several clients who have um, they have danced with cancer,
Hmm.
and one particular client 2 years ago, we were talking, and they were sharing with me about the chemo process and about how they hated the chemo, and they hated it. They hated the way it made them feel, and all of that is valid.
Mm.
But one thing, and granted, I've never been in that position, but one thing that I did say to this client was, what if you shifted the perspective? If the choice is to engage in the chemo, what if, and I said the same thing when my late husband was battling colon cancer, what if you see it as you're trying to befriend this chemo because the chemo is coming in and they're like that loud, obnoxious sibling, aunt, or uncle that you really don't want to be around. You don't even want them in your life, but they're there for a reason. And if that chemo is coming in and it's doing its job to eradicate that cancer, then rather than hating it, try to befriend it. It's a different take on it for a lot of people. It's the cancer that's the issue, right?
Hmm.
So, and this particular client said I went in with that mindset, and I was able to. I still felt shitty some days, but
Hmm.
I was able to see it working for me rather than
Right.
against me, and so that has helped a lot of people. It doesn't help everyone. Some people don't ascribe to that, and that's okay.
Mhm.
But just a nugget to put out there.
I like the hashtag shift the damn gutter. That's good. That's good, y'all. That's resonating. Both Candy and Jerry had something to say about that. Jerry also said, "I had a narcissistic parent, had to learn to ignore the negative comments." See,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
even I learned to let the negative comments fuel me toward the positive.
Mm-hmm.
Acting, they say, use it. How do I use it? I used to use it to stop me. Now I use it to fuel me. And it's a different shifting the damn gutter. That's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Jerry says it's a perspective, chemo and radiation, great attitude.
You know,
Mhm.
and shifting the gutter can mean you've planted seeds somewhere else, and now you're shifting the gutter, and now the water's going to run down, and it's going to saturate all of those seeds and all of
Mm.
that garden. And then what's going to happen? Then you're going to harvest all of this positive and all of this. It's a different pathway. It's just a different pathway. It doesn't mean there's not going to be weeds in that garden. You're going to have to be
Mhm.
responsible for picking the weeds out too. but
Mhm.
but you at least aren't eroding the foundation of your peace of mind, your house.
Mhm.
You're not
Right.
eroding your house, your temple, your peace of mind. You're building something that can not only benefit you but benefits those that love you and benefits those that you love, and those might not be the same people. So
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you
Candy
know.
says, learn some different things to de stress, and they are your mental tools. Don't forget to open that
Mm-hmm.
toolbox. I call them my Terry tools, but I mean, I literally, I have my Terry tools. It's like, okay, breathe, stand in the grass. I mean, I have my things and I mark them down. Binaural beats, listening to those so I can reframe the things in my brain because I can be positive. And just because we've got something to let us down, we can cut those chains. We can cut them. Make use of the tools in your mental toolbox when you need to.
The other thing that I will say is that if you don't expand, like Candy has mentioned a couple of times, expanding that toolbox, if you're not willing to expand the toolbox, then what happens is, and I've used this, I think anybody that's listening has probably heard me say this before. You go in and you're looking at what needs to be done. And if all you have is, you open the toolbox and all you have is what your parents put there, which is a hammer. And what you really need is a Phillips head screwdriver to back that screw out of the wall. But all you have is a hammer, and it's in there pretty good. Well, then you're gonna beat it and you're gonna bash it around, and you're gonna end up with a bigger problem that you have to repair later. So do the work, pick up a couple of tools so that then you can go in and go, oh, you know what? This is a job for a Phillips head screwdriver, not a hammer. And I can work with this. I cannot destroy the whole wall. I can just take care of this one issue because I have the tools to do that.
And if you don't have the tools in your toolbox, guess what? Go get the tool. Go get the tool. Elizabeth says, I have negative Nellies in my life. I try to turn their negative comments into positive ones during our conversation. Works half the time. I'm okay with that. It's half. That's great. Just be joyous in those. She also said something else that was really interesting. Where is it, Elizabeth? Okay. Stress. Here's her stressor. And we're all going to Ireland. So here's Elizabeth's going on this trip. Stress, leaving on a vacation out of the country, and your brother doesn't get on a plane out of Minnesota to Tennessee to join her until Saturday morning at 5:30. We're leaving at 3:00 that afternoon. So connections. I cannot control what happens. I will not stress.
Right. And it will all work out. One way or the other, it'll work out.
It will. It will. It will. Candy says, I love the screwdriver, Teri. Great analogy. Jerry says, I'm healthy, happy, and holy. One of my affirmations, one of my tools. Oh, affirmations are the thing. And tell you what else. I love this from Candy. If I can't find a positive thought myself, I listen to Dolly Parton and let her find one for me. See? What would Dolly do?
There you go. There you go.
Those words that we use for things are just words. We are the ones who give them the bad meaning. So change the meaning of the word for you. Beautiful.
Well, and we've talked about that. I think we've done workshops. Well, I know we've done workshops on that before, about how strong and how important our words are that we choose. So if the wording out of your mouth is, oh, this is going to be stressful. Oh, this is going to be such a hard thing. Oh, it's raining. It's not going to be a good day. Well, you're already selfishly stealing the day from yourself. So be mindful, be cognizant of the words that you're using, and also the people that you keep company with, because
Amen.
they can use some pretty toxic words from time to time. And also, the I said it earlier, toxic positivity. Those are the folks that, maybe you are needing just to be able to have someone hold space for you because you're having a hard moment. And those people that are like, it's all going to work out. It's all good. Just got to push through it. I mean, be real. I mean, most of those people you just want to hit in the head with a skillet, because it's just like, shut up. It doesn't mean that you're going to live in that negative Nelly place forever, but sometimes you just have to have a space to vent that stuff. Right.
Yeah. And you know what? If someone really is that negative person for you and they're always on the negative, phase them out. I mean, I'm sorry, but we can do that. I mean, turning 60 for me, so many people that I know just, oh my God, I've turned 60. I'm old, blah, blah, blah. You know what? No. Jerry says arcane in my case, not more than
There you go. There you go. And it's important to know that just because, there's a difference in, seeing how people treat us to how we would like to feel, and then how we actually feel. Like, you might have people in your life that you really do appreciate them and want them to. Sorry, I just had a big old carpenter. 2 of them flew by me. You might really want them to be in your life, and you want what you want, but you
Right.
have to see how they show up. And if they show up and they're not healthy for you, then you have to decide if you're going to barter out the want for the reality.
Ooh,
And
that's another good
sometimes,
one. Barter out the want for the reality.
you
And what are
know
you willing to give up? Um, well, this has been a really good topic, and we'll meet here Wednesday after next. We're going to have an encore next week. And hopefully you guys will join us. But I'll go find a good one. I'll
all
find a
right.
good one. I get one
I
ready to go.
I have to I have to I have to well, I don't have to. I'm going to tell on Candy. Armstrong, our listener,
Across
our
the pond,
friend from
Candy.
across the pond. Yeah, our UK Candy. Um I got tickled at her because she actually made a post about it, but she had listened to one of the encores that you had done a couple of weeks ago when we couldn't be live, and she said she said, and I was just commenting and commenting and commenting, and I didn't know why y'all weren't responding to my comments. And then she said later she recognized that it was that something had been said, and that it just clicked, and she was like, "Oh, this is a pre-recorded." And so she made a post about that later, and I just got so tickled because I thought, isn't that life? Like, we go through life sometimes, and we're like, well, what is going on? Do they not
Yeah,
hear me? Do they not
it's like,
see me?
is anybody out there? You know.
Right? And so just for anyone that listens to our encores, please keep your comments coming. Don't
Yeah.
think that we're ignoring you. We're just not there. So,
And your comment might be a doorway for somebody else. You might put a
100%.
comment down there, and it is for somebody else. Oh, Joyce said she did the same thing. Felt so silly, but no, I know silly,
No.
because that's why we do those encores. That's why we bring them back. Because they fall off the radar, and maybe somebody missed them, and so we come back to them.
Yeah.
Angie says, "Hope that your eye is better real soon."
Thank you very much, Angie.
And our last comment today, whether it's raining, storming, snowing, or sunny, when I wake up, the first thing I say is, God, thank you for this beautiful rainy day, or whatever kind it is. I'm thankful for whatever kind of natural day it is, because it's a new day. I
It's a
love that.
brand new baby day.
Brand new baby day. What we going to do with it? What seeds
What you
we're going to
gonna
plant in
do
this
with it?
garden?
That's right. That's right. We're gonna have to pick a few weeds, but we're also gonna plant a few seeds.
Well, y'all, we are here every week on Wednesday at noon Central Time. But wherever you are, wherever you're listening, thanks for sharing this. Thanks for being here every week. Thanks for interacting with us. This is our little group therapy session.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, so we will be on cord next week, and then we will reconvene when you are back from Ireland with all the loveliness that Ireland has to offer.
Yeah, I'll probably be a little bit jet lagged by that time, because it usually hits me a couple of days after I get back, because I adrenalize everything. And then I get
Mm,
back, and about 3 days into it, I'd go, boom. That's
I
okay.
know. It's okay. It's okay. And I wish I was going with y'all. Like I said last week, I had a trip to go to Montana, and it was unexpectedly canceled by my traveling buddy. So I can't go to Ireland with you, but I'll be holding down the fort here in Tennessee.
Well, I just laughed because I just caught myself. If you look right underneath my picture, there's a little hand holding it. It looks like I have a really long neck. I look like one of those worms that has a big. I just got distracted just for a second. I go, what is? Oh,
What is happening?
that's a little picture that's underneath. That
That's
is so
right.
funny. Now I'm going to be distracted about that from now on.
Well, and
Anyway,
look under me, it just says the process.
I love it.
The
I love it.
process.
All right. Next year we'll go, and you'll be on the trip next year. Maybe the whole group of us will go. Start saving your money now. We'll all go. And Jerry says she's turning 70 in July. All right.
Nice.
We're going to have a big
Yes.
old birthday party, a big virtual birthday party for when Jerry
Yes.
turns 70.
Yes.
God bless you, each and every one. DevonO'Day@gmail.com is how you reach me.
And I
And
am at terrypugh.com. And you can leave messages below, and we will reply and love all over you. And until we see one another again, I will add, shift the damn gutters, and I will encourage you to increase the peace. See
Increase
ya.
the peace. Bye, babies.
Bye, everyone.